Hello, everybody. I just wanted to give you an update on a really exciting project that we've been working on in Europe. So last Friday, Andy and Jeremy announced to the city a joint venture with Haniel. Just to give you the background on Haniel, they're a family-owned group of companies. Their holding company, the headquarters is in Duisburg in Germany. That's about an hour north of Cologne. And one of the business divisions is CWS Boco, which I'm sure you've all heard of. So as part of the JV, Rentokil Initial, we will contribute our workwear, hygiene, cleanroom and mats businesses in 10 markets to the JV. So that's firstly from the Benelux, so Belgium, Netherlands and Luxembourg. Then from CEE, the Germany, Austria, Switzerland, Slovakia and Czech Republic businesses. And then finally from the rest of the world region, Poland and Sweden. So CWS then will also contribute their workwear and hygiene and cleanroom businesses in 17 markets. So the same 10 countries as us, plus their businesses in Croatia, Hungary, Romania, Slovenia, Bulgaria, Italy, and finally Ireland. Although as part of this deal, we do, as Rentokil Initial, we do have the option to acquire the hygiene businesses in Italy and Ireland. And finally, just to be very clear, the Rentokil Pest Control, Ambius, dental, medical, scenting and specialist hygiene businesses, they're not included in the JV in those markets and will remain part of Rentokil Initial. So I've received a few questions regarding France. So just for clarity, our workwear, hygiene and cleanroom businesses in France, they're not part of the JV and they will remain part of Rentokil Initial also. So that means that our businesses, when we look at Europe as a whole, our businesses in France, Spain and Portugal are unaffected by this deal. I've also received a few questions relating to the JV, the joint venture there. So this will be made up of a 5-person board. We will contribute 2 members to the board there. And we're really expecting, based on our excellent relationship with Haniel, to have a really full and comprehensive working relationship with them. However, we do need to be very careful with gun jumping, and I will come on to talk about that shortly. And finally, relating to the JV, the way that this has been constructed, Haniel are the majority owner, so they have 82% and Rentokil Initial have 18%. So when we bring those 2 businesses together, the new JV really creates a large business, revenues in excess of €1 billion, and will employ around 10,000 people in all of the markets that I listed earlier. So a really significant business. Then coming on to the IT, firstly, the TSA. So I'll explain a little bit about this. So Trisha's done some great work. Lots of long hours, lots of detail, and working with the team to create the transitional service agreement. And the way this works is we define services specifically at what is the service, and then how long will that service be provided for. And then there are 3 ways that a service can be delivered. So the first is Rentokil Initial will provide a service back to the JV. So in the case of Epicor and Agility that we use in the Benelux, in CE and in France, we will continue to use that system, and so we will continue to provide that service back to them, as well as the Google Apps and supporting that. So until CWS and the JV move the employees transferring to the JV onto their mail platform, we will support the Google App platform for them. Then coming the other way, the JV will provide services back to us. A great example of that is the finance function. And so the FIS 2000 and the Schilling systems, plus all of the functional support, will be transferring into the JV. So until we then migrate onto the NAV platform for the remaining RI businesses, the JV will provide that service back to us. And then the third example, there are cases where you have a bi-directional agreement as well, but there are a few of those. Then with Advantex, so just to be clear here, so we will continue with the implementation of the service app. We've completed that now in Belgium and the Netherlands, and we are aiming to complete that across the CE region in Q1 next year, and that will then migrate the the business onto a common platform connected to Advantex and off the Rentokil Initial infrastructure that used the Sync server and some of the other infrastructure, and will deliver a lot of value into the business. And we're seeing some really positive results coming through already from the Netherlands and from Belgium. We will continue with our strategy to migrate Advantex from ADS to MS SQL. So the ADS database is no longer supported and is becoming quite problematic. So, and the way that the Advantex system is architected and deployed in the markets is that we have an instance of Advantex in each of the plants. That's called the SDC, which stands for Sorting Device Controller. So that's what's connected to the sorting devices, the garment sorting devices. And then we have a single consolidated instance, which is referred to as the main instance. So we will be upgrading all of those systems to MS SQL. And following the completion of the JV, then we will only continue to use Advantex in our France cleanroom business. With regards to the data center, so we will be upgrading the storage at Trossingen data center, and the reason that we need to do that is for twofold. Firstly, it's now unsupported, and also a change in strategy, which is we are now going to host all of the CEE, Netherlands and Belgian instances of Advantex in Trossingen as part of the JV. So that will involve moving the systems that we had recently transitioned to Woking back to Trossingen. So no doubt the project team will be able to dust down the paperwork, and this should be a relatively straightforward process to complete. And then finally, with separation in mind, we will be migrating the pest control file servers that are currently in Trossingen across to Woking. So that will leave in Trossingen a dedicated environment for textiles, hygiene and cleanroom in the CE and Benelux regions. Then with networks and telephony, so the principle that we'll be adopting is that all of the JV sites will be on a common standalone network and a telephony system. As we start to work the detail through with the joint venture, we will start to work with Wilma and Ed and the team in GIS to define exactly what that is and the timescales involved. And with the finance system, I touched on this earlier, so we will be initiating the project to migrate our pest, ambius and specialist hygiene businesses at pace in the Benelux and CE to Microsoft Navision, and once that is successfully deployed, we would then no longer need the TSA provided by the JV back to us, and we do need to agree the approach for payroll in all the markets as well. With regards to suppliers, Andy Renshaw's been doing a lot of good work this week, preparing letters that will be sent out to the suppliers affected by the JV with information about it, and we're planning to do that before the Christmas break. And then finally, with regards to the JV, the IT strategy, the priorities, the program, this in the main will only be discussed and agreed once the deal is completed in mid-2017. There are certain things that we will be able to start talking to the JV about, but we do have to be mindful about gun jumping, which I'm just about to come on and talk to you a little bit about. So gun jumping, exactly as it says on the tin, jumping the gun or a false start with the migration to the JV. So we must continue until the deal is completed mid-17. We must continue to focus on the day-to-day running of our respective businesses without any interference from each other. We must avoid taking any steps towards implementing the transaction, and we must not exchange anything that's seen as competitively sensitive information between ourselves without approval of group legal, and that includes areas like pricing, discounting policies, margins, shared customer information, etc. So if you are concerned about whether any instruction or action constitutes gun jumping, then please do consult your manager before progressing that. So the plan for the next 4 to 8 weeks, as I said, we'll be issuing those supplier communications. We will be revisiting the 27 IT priorities with Alain, Jürgen, and Stuart and Holger and the teams really looking at the projects that we plan to deliver in the first half of next year. We will be pushing hard to complete the rollout of the service app, so we're going to have plenty to do in the first half of next year, including the Advantex MS SQL Server upgrade and starting to initiate the Microsoft Navision projects, and also planning and completing the Trossingen data center storage upgrade, and that really will facilitate the migration of the Belgian and Netherlands instances back to Trossingen. And I'll also be looking at the resource that's going to be needed to support the transition to the JV and how we're going to construct that and the work streams accordingly. And then another really important area is in the Benelux and CEE, we must, as an IT team, continue to support our businesses and also importantly as well, continue to support each other as we go through this period of change. There is going to be some uncertainty for some of our team, and I'd really ask all of us to pull together as a team and support everyone as we go through the coming months. And then the final comment from me, if you do have any questions or concerns about the JV, details about the JV, unanswered questions, concerns that you have personally, then please do not hesitate to contact me either via email or on my mobile. My details are there, are listed below. Most of you probably have my details. And what I do plan to do over the next few months is on probably a fortnightly, every 2 weeks basis, is just issue a shorter update just to keep you up to date with everything that's going on and any decisions that are being made. So with that, I look forward to speaking to you all in the new year. Thanks very much.